Isn't this exciting? Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. We're going to start a new news series because I have more time to research, and that also gives me better awareness of what's important to the community. As a content creator, that's pretty cool, right? So I'm thinking about calling it Community Concerns, which will allow me to expand a little bit into Reddit and other sources if needed. Spectrum, though, has always been a bit of a salty echo chamber where a vocal few wage intellectual battle on either one of two teams. Team CIG can do no wrong, or Team I hate your opinion and I'll give you a salty reply. Jokes aside, Spectrum would not be the first place where I would hope that a new backer would go to do research about our game. And I'm going to end this mini disclaimer by saying that despite the aggressive moderation and people fighting over their perspective, often without considering the other's opinions, we can still get insight from Spectrum. I am proposing to keep this series to be a short recap of the more popular topics, and it's up to you to comment your comments here and let me know how I can tweak this new weekly segment. I'm going to post the links to all the threads in the description, and I want you to let me know if you disagree with my opinion so that we can all learn, right? The point of this. Let's begin. I went a little bit far back because this is the first episode and we're going to identify the source of the disappointment with the Odyssey. Again, yeah, Odyssey. Fine, right? But let's talk about it. Again, this is from Spectrum and it's such a small vocal section of the community. Many actual non-vocal citizens might still be happy with their purchases. And there are two things that I'm going to bring up on this. Hyperion Grass has said that because of the Odyssey, they want an exploration Q&A to define how these mechanics might work based on the newest development plan. I had done a very big breakdown of exploration in the Job series, where you will see all of the legacy documentation that we have and the summary. That's linked in the description, and for that matter, the entire Job playlist might be a fun investment if you want to be brought up to speed. It is pretty dated, but it is quite complete. So they wanted to know how scanning would behave, about probe mechanics, and honestly, this is the part that we should focus on. Why risk your ship when we can send a probe, right? But defining what range and resolution the probe might be, how that would be less effective than a ship, what levels of ships are considered to be the best, such as the Carrack, Endeavor, Aquila, Terrapin, Hornet Tracker, how a blind jump might work. And this is all part of exploration, right? But they ended by saying they would like to know what we might do with the information gathered, how it might be sold or safeguarded. Unfortunately, the mod team needed to step in a little bit because it became a flame war about the Carrack Killer comment made by John Crew. However, the reason I'm highlighting this thread is to say, yes, I agree, we could benefit from an updated design document that delineated how this will work. There was the second part, and that is that CIG, if you're listening, please consider doing this in the future. Never release a ship without a full Q&A ever again. That would have perhaps prevented some of the confusion, and I don't believe that this is actually CIG's fault for the majority of the confusion with regards to the Odyssey. It never said that it was going to do anything other than get fuel for itself. I spent a week talking with people and reading threads where they had plans to use this as a mobile refinery base station, a money-making ship, and all of that could have been fixed with a Q&A, part 1. Waiting until after the sale seems like it might have been allowed to do it because that confusion was actually good for ship sales. Other concepts released that week with Q&As, why not make that the standard from now on? All concepts will have a Q&A part 1 on launch and then a community Q&A part 2 to follow up and refine the expectations. Let me know what you think. Next, there was a post on Staggered Development, specifically a statement from Suhara, that after all the hype about how it would help, it hasn't really done anything practical to help, being something that looked good on paper. And I remember when all of this was happening, we were waiting for almost 10 months for a roadmap to a roadmap that was supposed to be the answer. It turned out to be a Gantt chart with a lot more information that didn't stop the inevitable setbacks. What's being asked for here is more 10 for the chair, more pillar talks, more calling all devs. Jared, this is basically all up to you. ISC and SC Live are great, but having content that addresses specifically what we want to know at that time, regardless if it seems repetitive, still has value. There's a stretch goal where we would get regular interactions with the CEO, and I'm on the record by saying that I loved your calling all devs, not only for the questions, but also because we get to meet the developers responsible. It does take time throughout the week and a little bit of planning, but the juice is worth the squeeze, in my opinion. They ended this post by saying that it seems as if there's been no update for Squadron 42, 316 was gutted despite having 6 months to work on, and this is where that staggered development thing comes in, and they're seeking a little bit more transparency. What are your thoughts on this? Are you happy with the current level of production from the content team? Next was a question from Copper in a Box about taking a fun treasure hunt with a per box payout of 1,000 AUEC and reducing it to 250. This one blew up Spectrum. Like, there are so many posts on this. However, this is the one I chose. They said that CIG killed Christmas and flushed away what was a fun activity down the drains. There were 185 replies, many who agreed that the event died out for them as soon as that change happened. Some went so far to say that they had started playing other games, which was a little bit dramatic. On one side, many said that they were happy as this imbalance would imbalance the economy, and the last wipe took 2 years to arrive. The other side, many said, who cares? It's all fake money anyways, and it's part of an alpha of a beta. No lasting impact, let people have fun. I'm on the side of whatever's being done to make more people play longer. That benefit is tangible. More people playing is more data, better loading of servers, more faults being found, and potentially more citizens being invited to join with their friends. 1/4 value of the box seemed a bit extreme, basically making people take 4 times longer to achieve the same results, perhaps dropping it to 500 or simply instituting a credit wipe with each patch. Players would grind each patch and they could use those to buy a ship. The ship would remain, but the stockpiled credits would be culled. Perhaps each patch with a credit wipe could have this sort of treasure hunt, allowing players an alternative to simply grinding with doing cargo. Just an idea? What are yours? Please post in the comments. And finally, I will be addressing the Ion nerf in the next episode because the discussion is still raging. The topic of graphics was brought up by NotSure77. They commented that when the various slices of Squadron 42 released, they looked fantastic and they looked next gen. There were recently some demos of Unreal and some other things that basically seem even more photorealistic, and when compared to those old demos, it blew them out of the water, right? Like, even I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. I had noticed that even playing Cyberpunk, where every character, but especially the hero characters, are just on another level. Not Sure was worried that the development is taking so long that when it releases that everything will need to be remade. Their estimate was 10-year-old tech with a further 5 years before anything's released. I think that 5 years is optimistic, personally, as I posted in a video last year, which is linked up for you right now. So, the comments were split between those who are worried about the game not looking next gen and then those who said that they don't care as long as the game plays well and is fun. Some said that it's a shame that Star Citizen decided to go photorealistic such a long time ago instead of a more artistic look, like Borderlands, which I believe was an extreme example. Those games do seem to stand up better to time, but I'm personally happy that they decided to not do this for Star Citizen, and I believe that things can always be reworked and buffed. So the Gold Standard Pass is a good example, where the developers even said that Gold was not necessarily the final stop in their work. Nothing would stop them from having a Platinum or Titanium Pass again and again to keep things fresh. What are your thoughts on graphical fidelity and buffing? Endless buffing. And as we come to an end, do you have any opinions on the segment in general? Do you have suggestions on how I can improve it? Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Please share my content with others as that helps a lot. Today is the last day for you to enter the Twister 82 Memorial Giveaway with a total value of $1,000 and such a great community story. Fly safe and I'll see you in the verse.